welcome into another episode of the Pain and Panic Podcast. Adam Sheets, Chris Reynolds with you. Chris, fresh off the plane from beautiful Orlando, Florida.
Yeah, sorry to our fans. We know they wanted us on Monday. Patriots won. Seahawks won. They're like, I need Pain and Panic, and we weren't there on Monday. We apologize.
Yeah.
Adam was ill. I was supposed to be traveling. Then a snowstorm hit the whole entire, Northeast. But you know what? We're here now, Adam.
Mm-hmm.
And anytime we miss an episode, I just start missing this podcast so much. I'm so excited to be back. Terrible flight coming home. I waited on the plane an hour and a half after we actually landed. We had to wait to find a gate. Terrible experience, but you know what? I'm here. I'm alive, and I'm ready to talk some football.
I heard you got a future UFC fighter that was sitting next to you. A lot of elbows being thrown in there. Could be a great offensive player in the NBA.
Little kids are the smallest people on the plane, yet they take up the most space because they just don't have awareness of their surroundings. So the 4-year-old wants to flare its arms out like a chicken and just accidentally whack me in the face with a stuffed animal. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It doesn't bother me one bit at all, Adam.
Yeah, you're totally still not upset.
No, not at all. No.
Yeah. All right, so we're this weird week that the NFL's allowed. This is a week in between the Super Bowl, which, you can't complain about it because it does give us the best possible Super Bowl. Everyone's healthy, no one on short rest. Gives us a chance to get the best Super Bowl we can get. So
but I miss football, Adam. We miss football.
Yeah, so what do we got to talk about? Coaching carousel. That's what we could talk about because the NFL's had a bunch of coaches get hired, a bunch of coaches get fired, and we're going to talk about all the hires and the 2 available jobs. I know everyone's sitting on the edge of their seat wondering, my goodness, how the heck does no one want to coach the Raiders? How the heck does no one want to coach the Cardinals? They're the 2 best jobs in the NFL. No one wants them. No one wants to touch them. But we're going to start with the guys who have been hired, the guys who are employed, the guys who've had introductory press conferences, most of them, some of them fresh off the boat, haven't had their introductory press conference yet, but they'll get there. They'll eventually get their introductory press conference. So, Chris, we're going alphabetical order by city because that's how ESPN had it written out when I was making sure I got all the coaches right. So, we will start in the NFC South, in hot Atlanta, where the Falcons have hired Kevin Stefanski to be the next head coach in Atlanta. It's an open division. Proved that this year. The Falcons actually finished tied for first in this division, if you can believe it, last year at 8-9. And Chris Stefanski, multiple-time coach of the year in Cleveland, got fired after, a tough year and maybe kind of just a reset. I think they want to restart in Cleveland, so I think they're just like, let's just get the coach out. Let's just restart from anew. So the Falcons jump on it, and they take this 2-time coach of the year with them. Chris, so what do you grade Stefanski coming down to? This is your division. You're an NFC South guy down there with your New Orleans Saints. What do you grade Stefanski to the Falcons?
Well, last year we saw just an absolutely incredible coaching class. We had Ben Johnson, Mike Vrabel, Liam Cohen, your guy.
Mm-hmm.
Kellen Moore on the Saints, I thought, did a fantastic job as well. This year, I don't think was as strong, but I think they got probably one of the best guys available in Kevin Stefanski. I'm giving them an A. Not an A+, not an A-, just a solid A. Kevin Stefanski got a bunch of dirt in Cleveland and made it into a glorious chocolate cake for 2 seasons. The other 2 years, it stayed a pile of dirt and did nothing. But the 2 years that they had success, you're like, wow, look at that team go. They had Joe Flacco in a playoff game, and it actually was fun for a little bit. And he's shown that he can make a good defense and manage to have a good enough offense without an actual talented QB, really. And here's how I could judge it. As a Saints fan, I'm looking at the Falcons hoping they hire some random. When they hired Raheem Morris, I was like, as head coach, didn't really have much success. I was like, all right, guess what? I was happy by the end. Stefanski, I think, is going to be an upgrade, especially offensively. I think is going to help because the Falcons have one of the most talented rosters in the league. It's just been unable to click. I know they still have a quarterback issue, but I think they're going to be probably more consistent offensively because that's been the Falcons' issue is they could just never win these easy games they should. However, they do pull a bunch of upsets.
Yep. Yeah. It was a good hire. I put it as a B+. Chris, I think I'm going to be a little tougher grader than you.
I hope you're right, Adam.
I don't have any Fs. I don't have any Fs because I don't think it's fair to give a coach an F hire only because you never know. You never know what it could be. I give a B+, though. I think it's a really good hire. The only thing holding me back was the quarterback situation that you mentioned. So Michael Penix, he's there, but like, is he really the guy? Is he the guy Stefanski wants? We're gonna find that out. How much confidence do you have in a guy like Michael Penix? I think it's a great hire. I think they're gonna be able to do a lot of good things. I think the division being very weak, the Bucks kind of took a step back this year. They're getting older. Panthers had a good season, but how long? How much faith are you putting in Bryce Young? The
Not a lot.
Saints. The Saints are coming up, but they're still probably a year or 2 or 3 away. Falcons look like they're the best team right now, looking at the roster around to maybe make a push with the talent they have. It's all dependent on the quarterback position, and we'll see what Stefanski can do with a guy like Michael Penix. So I'll put a bit of B+ here. I think it's a really good hire. We'll see how it can work out. Again, concerns with the quarterback position, but I do like the fit in Atlanta.
And we're going to get to see how good is Kevin Stefanski given, a normal team. If anyone has any amount of success in Cleveland, I think they deserve all the credit in the world. He is going to a situation that's not Cleveland, so he should get a normal chance. And as I said, the Falcons are a very talented team. If he's great, like, we assume he is as a 2-time coach of the year, the Falcons should at least make the playoffs next year as a wild card, or probably just win that division because, like you said, that division ain't tough.
Mm-hmm. Yep, so it'll be interesting to see how Stefanski does down there. Hopefully they can fit it all around. We'll see. They don't have their first-round pick this year. It's going to be tough for them to kind of negotiate that, kind of get things around, maybe how Stefanski would want. If he does want to make some moves, kind of handcuffs out that first-round pick. Maybe they try to make a move into the first round. We'll see what they decide to do. Now we go to the Baltimore Ravens, Chris. Baltimore Ravens, they fired John Harbaugh. They said, we've had enough, buddy. I don't care if Tyler Loop would have made a kick. You would have kept your job only for another week. We were done with you, bud. Yeah, we were sending you out the back door. And they brought in Jesse Minter. Jesse Minter, the defensive coordinator for the Los Angeles Chargers, if you did not know, has had success in multiple different stops. Kind of a young guru, been compared to Mike Macdonald a little bit. Similar path that Mike Macdonald had into his head coaching start in Seattle. That's worked out really well. They'll be playing in the Super Bowl next week. Jesse Minter gets the job with Baltimore, taking over John Harbaugh. Going to be looking for his offensive coordinator, as the Ravens' current offensive coordinator has taken a new job. So, Chris, what do you grade Jesse Minter to the Ravens?
I am going to give this a C-, Adam. I'm not a huge fan. You're giving him mostly credit for his college defensive coordinating job. And I know with the Chargers defensive coordinator, I think the Chargers defense was fine. However, this was not the Seahawks defense. This was not the Texans defense. And also the Chargers already have Harbaugh there. So it's kind of hard to be like, all right, what is Harbaugh? What is the scheme? Because he's been next to this very big coaching icon of Harbaugh. You know what I mean? It's not like, why are you giving me that face, Adam?
Well, Harbaugh's an offensive guy, so I don't know how his defensive system and scheme would affect Jesse Minter. But
what I'm saying is Harbaugh is the face of the coaching, okay? He is like the culture setter there. I don't know what culture Jesse Minter is going to bring. So I think with Ben Johnson in the Bears, you kind of saw he was a very large part of every discussion when it came to the Lions offense, because that was such a, amazing thing. When it comes to the Chargers, I'm not looking at their defense like they were the Lions offense. So I'm a little surprised that he got a job with Lamar Jackson. Also, that defense is young, so maybe that's why they want a defensive coach, but you would think with Lamar, they'd want to try to get the most out of him. So I'm a little surprised they went defensive coaching. I'm also surprised they picked a guy who wasn't that big of a name when I thought they had one of the better job options, considering they have the second best quarterback of all these coaching options open up.
I love this hire. Absolutely love it. I'm giving it an A-. I think this is a great hire. I think it actually might be the highest grade I've given a hire in this cycle. Here's why. You mentioned Jesse Minter. He actually is a big name. If you've listened to Coaching Carousel, he's got a bunch of interviews last year. But here's why. So he was in his second year with the Chargers. So that means last year was his first year with the Chargers. Do you know what the Chargers defense ranked before he got there?
I do not.
They were bottom 10 in every defensive category. They were a bottom 10 defense in the league. When he got there in year one, they entered the top 10 in every defensive category and ranked first in scoring defense. This year, they were again a top 10 defense in the NFL. So he's done great his first 2 years with the Chargers, was with the Ravens for a long time, went to Michigan, won a national championship, went to the Chargers, had a bunch of success. Now he's getting a head coaching job. I said that because that is the exact same trajectory that Mike Macdonald took to get his head coaching job in Seattle. True. He went to Michigan, was the defense coordinator with Jim Harbaugh, went back to be the defense coordinator for John Harbaugh in Baltimore, and then he became the head coach in Seattle, and now he's in the Super Bowl. Plus, another reason I love this hire, Todd Monken's not going to be there anymore, which means that offense coordinator job's open. And Cliff Kingsbury's sitting around, and I think Cliff Kingsbury and Lamar Jackson would get along very, very well and have a lot of success. Cliff's done well with the mobile quarterbacks.
Cliff is a lot better as a coordinator than a coach.
Oh, much better. Much better.
We've seen that.
Yeah.
Here's my problem. Whenever a guy, has a lot of college success, I don't know what to make of it because I don't know college like you. About the time with the Chargers. The Chargers, though, also with Harbaugh, have played far slower and run the ball more, and they give their opponent the ball the fewest amount of times because they slow down the game. I think the defense did improve with him, don't get me wrong. I'm saying they were always a talented defense, and I think the way they play, of going from this passing-heavy offense with Herbert, throwing it to Keenan Allen and Mike Williams back then, to now, Herbert and more of a run game that they're trying to do with this offensive line. That's what the Chargers want to be, as a team that can just grind it out and, control the clock. However, I think he's done a good job. If I'm the Ravens, though, I would have tried to have gotten someone, I like that he's young and fresh. I would have gone offense. And honestly, Adam, it's weird. Last week, I picked the Patriots and the Seahawks to win their games. You're like, Chris, you're picking both defensive coaches, even though I'm an offensive guy. I know, Adam. I don't know, too, because I'm an offensive guy, yet the defensive coaches both won and are in the Super Bowl. So
which offensive coach did you want him to hire? There weren't many out there. Kubiak's out there, but you would have had to wait to hire him till after the Super Bowl, which I think was kind of, hold offish for some people. There's no offensive coach, I think.
Unfortunately, I'm a Mike McDaniel fan, and I thought he was going to get a head coaching job. However, my only problem with him is that Baltimore isn't always hot.
Yeah, and he does not like the cold.
I know. I feel like most of the coaches all the offensive coaches were smaller names, not very proven. So I don't really know what the Ravens could do. So maybe I'll be less harsh and give them a C+.
And I think Jesse Minter being the defensive guy and him being young means I think there's going to be an experienced offensive coordinator that wants to hop on with him, which then gives basically an offensive head coach, and Minter's going to be like, you handle the offense. I'll deal with the defense and the aspect.
As a principle of their offense is very talented but looked clunky this year, I would have then wanted to fix the offensive problem and said they looked at their defense, which is fine. I actually think the league, is kind of having a defensive revolution in the sense of they're starting to figure out how to play again, and then we're going to see the offenses adjust and go up. It's very just all right, offense goes down, defense goes up, and then offenses figure out the defense, offense is on the rise, and then defenses are on the ground, and then they have to adjust, and it just goes back and forth.
Yeah,
I think defenses are getting better.
They've realized that quarterbacks are kind of dumb, that if they can't hit big plays and you make them just drive down the field, they're going to make stupid mistakes, and I think defenses have figured that out really well, and that's why we're seeing a bunch of turnovers this playoffs, baby.
Some of the worst quarterback play that we've seen, honestly, Rams-Seahawks was probably the best quarterbacking on both sides of any of the games, honestly.
Yeah.
But you know what? Considering the options, I'll give it a C+, Adam. I'll go C+. I just, when that came out, I don't know who's going to be excited that they lost Harbaugh for John Harbaugh for Minter.
I like Jesse Minter. Yeah. I do like Jesse Minter. I think he's a good young coach, and I think that's big. And I think getting a young guy in there after Harbaugh being old, now you get a fresh voice. And like I said, I think he's going to get another rejuvenated offensive coordinator. Don't know how it's going to be. I just like Jesse Minter. I'm a little biased. I do like my boy, which is weird. I like Michigan and Ohio State guys once they get to the league. I don't know. Something about it that rubs me the wrong way.
Probably because they're better, Adam.
They are, yeah. Like Jackson Smith and Jigba. You know how much I love him.
Chris Olave, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Garrett Wilson on the same team.
Yeah. Not a big Garrett Wilson fan though. More of a Maserati.
You get my point though. They have very talented guys in the league.
So good. There's anyway. Now Chris. We'll go to an offensive guy for you. The Buffalo Bills made a hire today.
Adam, we're going to my doppelganger over here.
Oh yeah, Joe Brady. Yeah, you too. Very similar guys.
Adam, graduate assistant at Penn State, and then was an offensive assistant with the New Orleans Saints.
Yes, he was. And then he was his most famous stop was at LSU, with Joe Burrow that 1 year. Wasn't even the official offensive coordinator, but he gets all the credit for it.
True.
When they won the national championship with Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. Some people might say, me included, like, well, I think I could have coordinated that offense to a lot of success with all those guys out there. But anyway, he's been with the Bills for a while, was quarterback's coach and the offensive coordinator, and now the Bills, after firing Sean McDermott after 9 years, promote from within and hire Joe Brady, Christopher.
I think Joe Brady's a fine coach. I think if you're Buffalo and you're going to get rid of Sean McDermott, who is also a really good coach, you need to get someone from the outside that has no experience with this Bills' terrible history in recent years. I thought they wanted a clean slate. I thought they wanted new energy coming in to get over this plateau. I don't think getting rid of your head coach and promoting someone who's been there for years is the way to overcome this hurdle that they've been unable to do for years. So I think he has, good experience. He knows the team. He's familiar with Josh Allen. That's great. I don't think it's what they needed. And if they were going to do this, I don't know why they would have just kept Sean McDermott.
Yep, I couldn't agree more. Going to put a grade on that? Cap it off?
It's honestly tough because if McDermott just, retired, I would have liked this hire a lot more than if they fired McDermott and hired him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give it a B-. I think his only blemish on his resume is the time in Carolina.
Yeah, it was bad.
He was their offensive coordinator with that year with Baker and Darnold, did not work, but there were a lot of problems then. But LSU, when he was, I don't know much with the Saints. It doesn't seem like a lot, but he was there when that offense was great and humming. LSU, Panthers, and then he's done a good job with Josh Allen. So I'll give it a B+ in the sense of
B+ or B-? You had B- at first.
B-. B- in the sense of I think he's a decent coach, but it's bad in the sense of I thought this was going to change things. I feel like this is just going to be more of the same.
Yep. I agree. Joe Brady anywhere else, I would have said, I like it. I can get behind that. Joe Brady in Buffalo, C- for me. It's the same thing. Like, you fired Sean McDermott and you're going to stay within. The big reason you fired Sean McDermott was, we needed to rid ourselves from all these tough losses. So you hire a guy who was there for almost all the tough losses.
Yeah.
He wasn't there for the 13-second game, but he was there for the next years after. He's been there now for 3 or 4 years. So, he's been through a lot of these heartbreaking losses that they've had. So he's still been in the room. And then, the crazy thing to me, the Keon Coleman thing keeps coming back from the press conference with Terry Pagula, where they're like, oh, well, we didn't draft Keon Coleman. The coaching staff drafted Keon Coleman. Well, who do you think was big on drafting Keon Coleman? The defensive head coach was slamming the table for the wide receiver? Or how about the offensive coordinator said, this is the receiver we want in Keon Coleman? So, threw Sean McDermott under the bus, but I guarantee Joe Brady was heavily involved in the drafting of Keon Coleman.
Could you imagine being Keon Coleman where everyone is just debating who actually was responsible for drafting you, and that's a big, point against them is that they decide to draft this guy?
Yeah.
That would just feel terrible. It's like Dalton Connect when he got traded to the Hornets
and they got traded back,
and then the trade got canceled. Yeah. So it's like, oh, this team clearly doesn't want me, but I believe Keon Coleman's still on the team.
He is, yep, and maybe that's why. Maybe they're like, man, we really screwed this Keon Coleman thing up. But Joe Brady likes him, we'll keep him. And I
just don't know how you suit up tomorrow and let me go play for the team.
Keon Coleman had some off-the-field issues with the front office in Buffalo, so I don't think they like him anyway. But yeah, it was weird. The whole situation made no sense. And I like Terry Pagula. He's done a lot for Penn State, so going to support him, of course. But that was a very interesting press conference. I've been open about the Brandon Beane situation. I think that was, I don't understand firing Sean McDermott and promoting Brandon Beane doesn't make sense to me. Keeping Brandon Beane, fine. Don't care. But promoting him, not making this a prove it year for Brandon Beane made no sense. So
yeah. In my mind, the Joe Brady in general is a B+. With the Bills is a C-, and in the middle is either a C+ or a B-. But because he's a Penn State guy and a Saints guy, I'm just gonna give him the.
You really gonna hammer that 1 year he spent at Penn State in 2016? It was great. Yeah, they won the Big Ten. They won the Big Ten. So
he was there when he was with Penn State and the Saints. That's my guy.
Yeah, he had Saquon Barkley, Trace McSorley. Love those teams. Absolutely love them.
He knows what team to go to that's loaded. Okay.
Yes, he does. Except Carolina. Carolina didn't work out for him. But,
sure.
Now we go to another offensive coach. I believe this is, unless you count Mike McCarthy, this was the only other offensive coach that got hired this cycle, and that was in Cleveland today as the Browns hired Todd Monken as their next head coach. Chris Monken, of course, had spent a lot of time with John Harbaugh and Lamar Jackson after they got rid of, what's his name? No, with the Chargers. Why am I blanking on his name right now? Chris, can you help me here?
No, I cannot. I'm
All
not
right, I'll think of it. But Todd Monken's been the offensive coordinator at Baltimore for a while, and now he's going to Cleveland to take the job with the Browns. Chris, what do you think of it?
So he was there as their offensive coordinator in 2019. So I think they liked him that 1 year. But then I just don't really get it because he's with the Ravens.
Greg Roman was the name.
I'm sorry, you're right. I could have actually
Greg
thought about
Roman.
that. I was looking up Todd Monken's history here. I just don't really understand. Like, I don't know. I think the Ravens and Lamar have underachieved to a point where I'm like, I wouldn't really be going after the offensive coordinators like this, and it's Cleveland, so I'm assuming whoever they get is going to have a really tough time succeeding. He was there the 1 year. What was it? I said 2019. I don't think that wasn't their good.
That was the year he won MVP, and that was the year they won MVP, and they were the 1 seed and lost to Tennessee in the first round.
No, I'm saying this was with the Browns, though.
Oh, he was with the Browns in 2019.
As their offensive coordinator.
Was that Freddie Kitchens' year?
That was Freddie Kitchens' year.
Okay, well, yeah, there was a lot going on. That was Odell.
That was the bad. That was a bad Cleveland year.
That was the year, when they hired Freddie Kitchens for no reason. I thought you meant Todd Monken was with the Ravens.
No. So I'm just like, all right, you bring him back. You didn't have a lot of success with them. I think a lot of coordinators could have achieved the same level of success with Lamar Jackson in the last few seasons, because that's not a very high bar. And, Lamar was already established. It's not like he helped develop Lamar or anything. Probably the biggest thing that he did was establish a really good offense, last year with Derrick Henry and Lamar. Like, they had a very good 1-2 punch.
Yards. Yep, first time Lamar was a true passer. Yeah.
True. This year, though, explain kind of what happened. Are you just going to blame it all on Lamar's injury? Derrick Henry wasn't right for most of the season? I don't really know. So, I don't know. I don't love it. I'm gonna give this one another C-, and I'm assuming I'll be right because it's Cleveland and no coach ever works there, really.
Yeah, I gave it a C. I didn't have much of an opinion on it. Like, I don't think Todd Monken's this elite coach. I don't think Todd Monken's a bad coach by any means, but I don't think he's this, like, world beater head coach that we're going to see coming for the Browns. I think the big thing is maybe his system fits what they're going to be trying to do in Cleveland, which could help. Tom Monken's been big with tight ends. Of course, Mark Andrews has had some good years with him. I think that, and of course, he did well with Likely as well this year, had some pop-up games. They have Harold Fannin Jr., who's a really, really good player. Maybe they want to continue to develop. We'll see what they decide to do with the quarterback situation, whether it's Shedeur, whether they're going back to Deshaun Watson. I don't know what their plan is. Who knows? It's Cleveland, so we never know. So I gave it a C, just kind
of...
Pro
Bowl Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah, Pro Bowler Shedeur Sanders. So I guess they have to stick with him. But yeah, so I don't know. Like, I don't really have a hard opinion either way on this. I think it's okay, sure. No one really wanted the Cleveland job, it seemed like. Like, they really wanted Udinski from Jacksonville. He told them no. I think a lot of the guys they really were looking at didn't really want the job. So I think that's how they ended up on Todd Monken. So I'll give it a C just on the fact that they really couldn't get anyone else. And now they're just kind of like, oh, okay, this is what we're going to do now. So,
yeah. That's what happens when you're in Cleveland and you've been unable to get anything, any foundation for forever.
Yeah. Well, it's hard also. Like, this isn't even just like it's Cleveland, so it's hard to win there. It's Cleveland, and the quarterback situation is so messed up right now that it's like, do you really want to hitch your wagon to that? And Todd Monken said, yeah, sure, because guess what? If he does fail and then he goes be an offensive coordinator elsewhere and he's successful, people will be like, yeah, well, she struggled in Cleveland, so it's okay. Like, there's a lot of other things going on. So it's not like career killer if you go to Cleveland and fail.
I hope people look at it that way, but we do this with like Aaron Glenn, Robert Saleh. They go to the Jets, who are very similar to the Browns, and then people, assume they can't ever coach against Saleh, though to get another chance. We'll get to
Saleh. Yep, we'll get
in a little
bit.
Yeah. But we'll see if, I just want to go somewhere where I know the chances of succeeding is so small.
Yeah, you're already at the bottom of the hill and you got to climb 1,000 feet in the snow. Like, it's like, that's what you got to do. All right, so now we'll move on from Todd Monken, who has a tough job, to Jeff Hafley, defense coordinator of the Green Bay Packers, took the job in Miami. They got rid of Mike McDaniel, going from offensive coach to defensive coach. Jeff Hafley was the head coach at Boston College, didn't work out at BC, went to the Packers, was very, very successful as their defensive coordinator, and now is heading down to Miami. Christopher, where do you grade Jeff Hafley heading down to South Beach?
I'm going to give this a B-. I think the Packers defense was solid, and then Micah got hurt, and then, that defense was a little different. I don't think the Packers had this defense that I was wowed by at any point. So I don't really know what to judge it off of in terms of that. I'm just looking at the fit more so with the Dolphins. I don't know what their offense is going to be. Mm-hmm. They had one of the most creative play callers in Mike McDaniel, who is a weird guy. I think he had a weird culture. I think, say what you want, but he could actually draw plays for Tua and Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle better than probably anyone. Or almost anyone. I just don't know what they're doing as a team. Do they want Tua still? If they get rid of Tua, who are they going to get? Are they keeping Tyreek? Are they getting rid of Tyreek? So, with all the offensive questions, I think they were just like, hey, let's just focus on the defense, and then they're just going to have a bad offense next year. I don't know. I don't really understand what the Dolphins are doing. So it's not much about him, more so I don't understand what the Dolphins' future is, but I guess they're like, maybe let's just get a normal defense.
Yeah. I give this one a B. I think this hire was mainly made for culture. I think, as you mentioned, Mike McDaniel, interesting guy. I think I have an opinion on Mike McDaniel. I think he's the offensive Vic Fangio, where it's like, he's not really a head coach guy, but like, he might even be the best offensive coordinator you could have. Like, Vic Fangio was not a good head coach, but defensive coordinator, probably don't want anyone else. So I think Mike McDaniel could enter, that kind of role in the NFL. We'll see. He's going to get another opportunity, I'd assume, as being a head coach too. So we'll see maybe if he can make it work the second time around. But I think Jeff Hafley, a good culture guy. He was very successful last year with the Packers defense. This year with Micah, they got off to a great start. Then Micah got hurt, so it kind of changed some things. They had some, interesting holes in the secondary at times this year too. So, yeah, I think it's a good hire, and we'll see what happens. I think there's, again, as you mentioned, there's a lot of questions about the direction Miami's going to be going. Is Tua the quarterback? What's the skill position players going to look like? What's the defense going to look like? There's a lot of questions that need to be answered from the front office perspective of Miami before we get down to what job Jeff Hafley can do. And that division, pretty tough. You got Buffalo, you got New England, so it's going to be a tough uphill battle. But I give it a B. Good hire. Nothing special.
Thought it was very average. I think they needed a change, and I think he's done a fine job in Green Bay.
Yep.
I think there are some guys who, like you said, are just coordinators. Josh McDaniels on the Patriots. He is probably never going to be a head coach, but he'll just be a great offensive coordinator.
Well, yeah, Josh McDaniels is never going to be a head coach again. I think he's burned out his welcome in a bunch of places.
Yeah. Dennis Allen, the Bears. He's their defensive coach now. He was a great defensive coordinator for the Saints. Now he's defensive coordinator in the Chicago. Bad head coach for the Saints, and he was bad before that in the Raiders. Salah might, we'll see if he's just a defensive guy or head coach, but look around the league, there's some guys. Kingsbury, we said earlier, only an offensive coordinator guy. Spags on the Chiefs, they're a defensive coordinator. Some guys are built to be a coordinator, so it's always a question the first time you promote one of these guys, but I think here, the goal is to just get change and be a normally professionally run team without weird drama that McDaniels brought.
Yeah, but the one thing that also killed Mike McDaniel, didn't know how to run the press conference. They really struggled with the press conference aspect of the job, which...
Yeah, McDaniel had that one quote about, like, one more day closer to death, so he's happy or something.
Like, it's just he just said some stuff, and he goes...
He's not getting any help from Tua out there. Those two combined have, like, the worst press conferences.
Yeah, Tua didn't help either. All right, now we'll go to, Jeff Hafley was a meh. Like, I think a lot of people are like, okay. Like, no one really had a big... The one that got all the headlines was the New York Giants, because they're in New York. They hired John Harbaugh, the former Ravens head coach, Super Bowl champion head coach John Harbaugh, to come in and try to fix some things in New York. Chris, what do you grade John Harbaugh going up to New York? I guess up, from Baltimore. Well, you don't get to go up many places, but you go up to New York.
We touched on this, and, the more I think about it, the more I agree with myself. John Harbaugh going to the Giants is the most overrated hiring of any coach this whole coaching carousel cycle. The Giants are a team that do need to be run, decently, and John Harbaugh seems like he can do that. However, his history, his resume doesn't really scream that he's a super amazing coaching candidate like you would assume based on how highly they talk of him. I think he's a good coach that is a professional. I do not think he's going to have a lot of success with the Giants anytime soon. Maybe they're better than, 3-15 or 3-14. I don't think they're going to win the division anytime soon or make the playoffs anytime soon. They're still going to be the bad Giants. Maybe they don't make super stupid decisions because they did, honestly. There probably won't be a game where they, don't have a kicker on the field because that's, something you could prevent if you're a professional coach. However, I don't understand why John Harbaugh coming to the Giants is, being treated like they just signed Tom Brady in his prime. The amount of topics it's got, they got Harbaugh. I'm like, the Ravens fired him. Why are we acting like he was the greatest coach? Like, if we look at the best coaches in the league, I don't know if I'd even have him in the top 10. I think there's a lot of coaches now that have a superpower of either a great offense or a great defense. Harbaugh's is a culture, but he's been unable to get on the same page with Lamar Jackson now for the last few years. So what culture is he really instilling? I don't know.
Grade?
Oh, sorry, I keep forgetting about the grade.
Grade.
Considering the options, this is good in the sense of this is what they needed, was to not look like a laughingstock in New York. So on that end, I'm going to give this a B+. However, the amount of hype this got, I thought was incredibly overblown. So maybe I'm just being a little judgy, and this could be like an A- or something, but it was talked about too much to where I actually don't think it's that big of a deal.
I gave it an A-. The reason I think it was most talked about job is, one, it's the New York Giants, so New York media, and two, it's John Harbaugh, which is one of, you look at all the names out there, he's the most well-known name that got hired in this cycle. So I think it was just going to take up headlines no matter what. So I think it's a good hire. I think he's the guy the Giants need. I think they need a guy just to steady the ship, make sure everything goes right, handle the controllables. They have a good young quarterback. They have a good young edge rusher. They have a good young running back if he can come back from injury in Cam Scadaboo. They have a great young receiver if he can come back from injury in Malik Neighbors. So they have pieces that I think could get them to maybe 8-9. I don't think they're not better than the Eagles. They're not even close to the Eagles yet. If the Eagles can get an offensive coordinator, they're still sitting out their coordinator list. So they got to figure that out. But, I think it's a good hire. I think the Giants can be respectable. I think the Giants can be competitive. Are they Super Bowl contenders? No. Are they division contenders? No. But it's a hire to get you on the right track that maybe John Harbaugh's not the guy that's going to win you a Super Bowl, but maybe he can put you in a good spot that the next coach after John Harbaugh can get you to a Super Bowl. So that's why I'll say it's an A- hire.
If you get John Harbaugh, though, you're kind of thinking you're going to win a Super Bowl. That's just what it kind of feels like for the Giants fans. And I'm like, he had Lamar Jackson in a really good Ravens squad for years, and they never made the Super Bowl. So I just don't know why they are acting like this is like Belichick or, Andy Reid. It's like these legends.
Andy Reid didn't do anything in Philadelphia. He went to won a bunch of games, but they never won anything. And then he went to Kansas City. Worked out.
I do agree with you. This is a step in the right direction.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't know if John Harbaugh is the guy that's going to do it for him, but John Harbaugh, 3-4 years, gets you in the right trajectory. Maybe John Harbaugh is then let go, okay, we want to go somewhere else. Or maybe John Harbaugh goes, you know what, I'm kind of done with the New York media stuff. I'm retiring. And then the next guy comes in and been like, oh, now that's the guy they needed. So, now I don't know who that is.
I just don't think Harbaugh wants to hear that. I don't think the ownership
no one
or the GM wants to hear that. But that's probably the truth.
Yeah, it's like the guy before the guy is always, everyone says is sometimes very important when you look at kind of moving you in the right direction. So that's big. So we'll see how it works out. We'll see how John Harbaugh works out in New York. Now we'll go to another former head coach that was hired, another former Super Bowl champion that got a job, Christopher. The Pittsburgh Steelers said, Mike Tomlin, you're done. Well, he didn't. Mike Tomlin resigned. But he said, Mike Tomlin no longer going to be the head coach in Pittsburgh.
Sure, Mike.
So
Yeah, you can leave on your own terms.
So, because I think this is actually factual. I think, so I don't even think I'm speculating on this. I think that Pittsburgh didn't have enough money to completely change the name on the door. So they limited their candidacy to only hiring Mikes, and that's how they ended up with Mike McCarthy as their next.
I believe it.
No, not a bad idea, because the two coaches coaching the Super Bowl are both named Mike. So maybe Mike's the key.
Okay.
But
listen, I kind of was mean about the Harbaugh thing, saying it's overrated, but then I gave them a B+, so I still gave them a positive rating. People are comparing Mike McCarthy to John Harbaugh, and their success in history may be similar, but their hirings were very different. The Giants needed structure, they needed a professional. The Steelers needed a clear change and energy, and they needed to either just bottom out and then they could actually rebuild. Instead, they replaced Mike Tomlin with a poor man's Mike Tomlin, probably, and they got Mike McCarthy, who's probably going to come in here and go 7-10 and have a slightly losing season. And you know what? Nothing's going to change. He's from Pittsburgh, so they wanted to hire him, as if that is a reason to hire someone just because they're from the city. Cool. I think you would rather hire someone with, different culture that maybe is, I don't want to be mean to older coaches, but you might want to bring someone with different new energy. And it's not that Mike McCarthy's old. It's like he just feels like Tomlin. He's been this guy on the Packers who you could argue was just carried by Rodgers, and they kind of had a weird breakup. And then he goes to the Cowboys, and the Cowboys are honestly better without him.
Well, that's not true. That is not true. They went 12-5 twice with him.
I think they looked better, and their offense looked more like an offense in 2025.
Dak nearly won MVP with Mike McCarthy.
I think McCarthy, was fine. I think, though, that the Cowboys looked very different and fun offensively compared to then. I think CD got hurt this year, and that was a big problem.
No, wait. Now, CD's best year was with Mike McCarthy.
CD got hurt this year.
He almost won the receiving title with Mike McCarthy. He almost won.
I like their offense more now. It looks more like more offenses. I think Dak had actually a better year this year. Just the outcome wasn't the same in terms of the wins, but I think Dak's play was great this year. I like the Cowboys a lot. I think McCarthy is your normal, older, experienced coach. And if Aaron Rodgers wants to come back, maybe he would be more inclined to do so with McCarthy. I didn't even think they liked each other, though, by the end. So when McCarthy left Green Bay, they got LaFleur, and then Aaron Rodgers won some MVPs. So I don't really know what Mike McCarthy does for you in 2026. I don't really get how this is different or what the Steelers needed. I think Mike McCarthy and John Harbaugh are very similar coaches, but the Giants needed Harbaugh. They needed that structure. They needed some stability and a grown-up. The Steelers had that. They need something new. They need something fresh, and they need to restart the way they've been doing things. Instead, they just got a poor man's Mike Tomlin.
Yep, great.
I'm going to go with an F.
F, all right.
It's my only F. You know
All
what's
right.
weird, Adam? We go from D straight to F. There's no E.
Yeah, some places they got rid of the F and just used the E in their grading cycle.
Yeah, and also I thought it was always like an F minus, but like there's no F pluses. It's just F. Just fail. So I don't know.
I gave it a D for a lot of the same reasons you did. Mike McCarthy in Tennessee, Cleveland, I would have been like, okay, I could see that. Young quarterback, we want to right the ship. We want a guy who knows how to win games, kind of with a Super Bowl pedigree. Like, we want that. Okay, I would have understood that. But in Pittsburgh, when it's like, okay, we want a fresh start, I thought Mike Tomlin stepped down because they were ready to rebuild. And now it's like, well, then why would you hire him to bring Aaron back? And you're in a weird spot. So, yeah, I didn't understand this move. We'll say the Pittsburgh thing, him being from Pittsburgh, does work out a little bit. Vrabel was from New England. Worked out. Ben Johnson was an NFC North coach, so kind of knew the division. Liam Cohen was down in Florida with Tampa, just drove across the state to go coach in Jacksonville. That worked out. So sometimes being around the area does help. It's not everything, though. You shouldn't make your hires off where guys are from.
McCarthy wasn't coached in that division.
No.
He was with the Cowboys and the Packers, so it's not even like he played against them. It's like,
no,
oh, I'm a Pittsburgh guy. Okay.
Yeah. Knowing the area sometimes helps, but you need him with a young quarterback. I thought that would be the thing you'd pair him with because he was good with Aaron, he was good with Dak, so I thought like that would be like the lure. He's been good with quarterbacks, but now you're putting him with a guy he knows very well. That's a 40-plus-year-old quarterback.
Assuming Aaron comes back.
Yeah. Which, honestly, if he doesn't, this hire actually goes a little up higher for me. Because I'm like, you give Mike McCarthy 3 years and give him a quarterback to work with. You could end up finding a guy. So, but now it's kind of like, do you really just want to bring him in to work with Aaron Rodgers? Like,
if the Steelers bring back Aaron Rodgers and pair him with McCarthy, I just don't understand how this is any different than what they had the last, 15 seasons.
Yeah. They might win a playoff game because Mike McCarthy has won a playoff game more recently than Mike Tomlin did. So they'll win one. No, Mike McCarthy's only
Has he won one?
Yeah,
with
he's won
Trump
one.
or Biden office?
I believe so. I believe so.
Okay,
I
because
believe
that's what we said about Tomlin. Was Tomlin? His last playoff one was with Obama in office.
I think he won one late during the first Trump administration with Aaron. I believe.
Okay.
I think that's how that timeline works. I don't think he won one with the Cowboys. So yeah. No, he won with the Cowboys. They beat the Bucks in Brady's last game. There's his win.
True.
There's
So,
his win.
credit McCarthy, he's won since the Obama administration.
Yeah. He
so
won
I guess
in
it's
the Biden administration. Impressive.
Oh, yeah, so maybe it's an upgrade there.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, don't love it. This is probably the worst hire because it did not fit their needs at all.
Yep. Yeah. It's a weird fit. Like I said, McCarthy somewhere else, I could have talked myself into it. McCarthy in Pittsburgh, yeah. Like McCarthy with the Giants, like if flip him and Harbaugh would have been like, okay. Work with Jackson Dart, offensive guy, been good with quarterbacks. See how that works. McCarthy's a respected coach, probably get a good defensive coordinator there. See what happens. But nope, Pittsburgh, baby. Come on, Steel City. All right, Chris. Now we go to the last job that's been filled. The Tennessee Titans hired Robert Saleh. Saleh had a good year with San Francisco once again. He's been great as the defense coordinator for the Niners. Didn't end very well. Ended with a 41-6 drubbing. Not all his fault. I think you and I were about to get a call to play linebacker for him at the end.
I did get a call.
You told him no.
I told him no.
Why?
I need to think about my health and safety.
Man, I thought you were Kyle Shanahan.
I'm not playing by any electromagnetic fields.
You were gonna put you were playing on the road playoffs. You wouldn't have been anywhere.
No, but I don't want to practice by the field, man.
You could have told him I'm not practicing. I'll see you on game day.
True.
All right, but now he's with Tennessee. Chris, what do you think of this hire?
I believe if you coach the Jets, it should not count on your actual career resume when we look back. It was very hard for him to succeed when 4 plays into his coaching time with the Jets, Rodgers tears an Achilles. That whole first year, the defense was phenomenal. They just had Zach Wilson as the quarterback. Saleh's a defensive guy, so I don't want to blame him too much, but it was rough but that's not his fault. Year 2, Rodgers comes back, and one thing I think kind of overlooked, Rodgers is in his 40s coming off a torn Achilles. These things usually may take like a year and a half or like 2 years to really fully be back to yourself. Rodgers comes back as early as he tries, and then he wasn't great. Statistically, it was actually fine, though, by the end. And the defense wasn't as good. I'm going to give this a C+. If you just told me he was just a really good coordinator with the Niners, I would say, all right, I would have liked to have tried to help Cam Ward out a little bit more because he is the number 1 pick and, you want to try to develop your quarterback the best you can. I hope they get a really good offensive coordinator to try to help their quarterback because...
Well, they have Brian Daboll.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, they hired Brian Daboll.
Can we factor this in with Brian Daboll as the offensive coordinator?
Fine by me. I use that for Jesse Minter.
I'm going to give this a B- because nothing would be funnier than the Jets and Giants old coaches having success in Tennessee, and then those two teams have to watch the Tennessee Titans be good with those two. Mm-hmm. I'm not going anything crazy, just a B- because I think Saleh's a great defensive coach. Daboll, I think we can make fun of for some things. The kicker stuff was terrible.
All the blown leads.
However, with Saleh, I think the defense won't blow those leads as much. And with Daboll, he was very good in developing Josh Allen.
Yes, he
did a very good job. I give that a B-. I think both of them have, a big problem on their resume with, they flamed out in a big city. Tennessee's a little smaller. The camera's a little bit less bright. So maybe they have more success there. I think Saleh on his own, I didn't love. I do like, though, that Dayball has a history with developing Josh Allen, so maybe you could do the same for Cam Ward.
I give it a C+. There are a couple reasons. First of all, you missed out the part that Robert Saleh was involved in the decision-making to get rid of Sam Darnold to draft Zach Wilson. So he was involved in that decision, which sometimes didn't work out.
Wait, how?
He got hired in 2021, was his first year with the Jets, and he drafted Zach Wilson. They were there together the first year. Yes, you can look it up. They were in New York the exact same year. He got rid of Sam Darnold. That was part of Robert Saleh's first weeks on the job, was they got rid of Sam Darnold and drafted Zach Wilson. Part of the plan. Then it didn't work out, which I'm not going to kill him for a lot. The defense looked really good. They weren't able to get Zach Wilson going, so that was kind of a trouble. I'm not going to blame it all on him. I think it's an okay hire, but I did hear someone say the Titans are hoping this ends up like a Mike Vrabel to New England. And I'm like, buddy, Mike Vrabel was your coach. You didn't need a new Mike Vrabel. You could have just kept your own Mike Vrabel, but they're trying to figure that out again. So we'll see how it works. I give it a C+. I think Robert Saleh can be a good coach. I am a little worried about the defensive coordinator. Maybe he's just a defensive coach, not a head coach. We'll see how that works out. Do like the Dayball setup. I think that could work out well, especially with Cam Ward. So we'll see how it works, but I give it a C+.
Well, now I just feel silly, Adam. I cannot believe that was that long ago that Saleh was with the Jets.
Aaron wasn't his first quarterback.
I just remember, though, that it was all about Rodgers' first year was the first year that he had like an expectation of winning. Well, and I honestly did not care about the Darnold thing, but I guess now we actually do have to go back and look at it because that matters since Darnold's in the Super Bowl. So, all right.
Well, granted, he didn't have many guys to draft. The previous coaching regime did not help him out by winning that meaningless game against either the Chargers or the Rams that cost them the chance at Trevor Lawrence. And after Trevor Lawrence, that quarterback draft,
Sam Darnold and Trevor Lawrence, though, who's actually better right now?
Right now, Sam Darnold. But I was saying, like, you could have picked yourself on Trevor Lawrence. Like, okay, that would have been a quarterback to take. Because at the time, especially, Trevor Lawrence was this superstar prospect. But I was like, you can't also kill him just for drafting Zach Wilson because, like, what? You're going to draft Trey Lance? Justin
It didn't
Fields?
make sense, too.
Mac
That
Jones?
whole that quarterback class was terrible, honestly. The best quarterbacks in it was probably Brock Purdy and Trevor.
Well, Purdy wasn't in that class. Purdy was in the next year's class.
We had this whole discussion.
They drafted Trey Lance.
As I said it, I was like, we've debated this.
So Trevor's the best quarterback in that class, yes, by a wide margin. He's like the only quarterback in that class. Yeah. So that's definitely didn't work out. But
didn't love it, but I don't want to count the Jets too much against someone.
I didn't. Yeah, that's why I gave it a C+. I said, we'll see. Yeah. I said I do have my worries about maybe he's just the defensive coach and not the head coach, but we'll see how that all works out. Chris, there's 2 jobs left. Not going to harp on this too much, but there's 2 jobs left. There's the Raiders and there's the Cardinals. 2 of the best jobs in the NFL, if you ask me. Beautiful weather, great golf, a lot to do in those places. Everyone says Phoenix and Scottsdale, a phenomenal place to live. I've been to Vegas. I'd be there forever if I could. It's a beautiful place. So Chris, let's just. I don't need a long soliloquy. Which job would you rather have? Where would you rather coach next season?
Here's my problem, Adam. You don't want a long soliloquy, but I'm going to give you one anyways.
Okay.
Just something about me likes the Cardinals more.
Yeah.
I like their whole vibe, and I think you could rebuild them. Vegas is just icky to me of like, that just feels like a team that's always going to be bad.
Wow.
Like the franchise, maybe it's just because they relocated and they weren't great. You know, they have not been good in a very long time besides their one playoff appearance. I, though, think you have to pick the Raiders job first because they're going to have their one pick with Mendoza. You could talk yourself into a future, and if you're a coach, you just hit your wagon to Mendoza, and that's going to buy you at least like 3 years. Maybe 2 years, unless you're truly terrible. You're getting at least 2 years out of that. If you go to the Cardinals, I personally have an obsession with Trey McBride. However, most coaches probably don't, and they just look at the Cardinals and Jacoby Brissett, and they're like, what am I getting?
Or Kyler, which is a much better.
You're not. I think Kyler's gone.
Well,
Kyler's
they have all that money tied up to him, so they might tell you.
Kyler's going to Canada. No, I don't know. I think you have to take the Raiders because you could talk yourself into new ownership with Brady, new energy. Carroll did terrible, so maybe you come in, get an actual offensive line. If they had an offensive line, I think they could have been actually halfway decent. Their division is actually still really difficult with the Chiefs and the Broncos. But at least you have the Texans. No, not the Texans. Who's the last team I'm missing, Adam?
What do you mean?
In their division.
Oh,
Raiders,
in their division.
Broncos, Chiefs,
Chargers.
Thank you. That's a pretty tough division, but also
It's really
NFC West,
not much
Seahawks, Rams,
yeah.
And I keep blanking on them. The more I think of them.
Niners.
And the Niners. Both divisions are terrible. Adam, you know what? We haven't talked football in a while. We're both sick here. It's, rough times.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I'd take the Raiders. You have number one pick. That's a big thing. So you're going to be able to hit your wagon. I think Clint Kubiak's actually going to be the next head coach of the Raiders. Gut feeling. I think that's why they haven't hired anybody. I think that's who they're going to take. Because I think they'll take Kubiak and say you're going to get to work with Mendoza. Unless you maybe like someone else, you're not going to. You're going to draft for Mendoza. But hey, if you like someone else, probably. I think Brady's going to be more hands-on now. So I think that might help as well. And I think in that division, I think it might help with, I think there's going to be more patience with the Raiders. To be like, okay, look, we have Mahomes. Like, we have the Broncos are going to be good. The Chargers are going to be good. Like, take your time, develop Mendoza, and then we'll work through it as it goes. So I think there's going to be maybe a longer leash there to see where they can go and see what heights they can reach. But I do think the Raiders, with the number one pick, I think it's just a much better job, especially because even if you do get rid of Kyler, that's going to be a lot of dead money on your roster, which then you have to figure out. So.
Yeah, I think the Raiders have a vision of the future. I don't think the Cardinals do. Yeah. Adam, we need to talk about something.
Didn't even mention Ashton Genty and Brock Bowers, by the way. So there are some skill position players there.
True. I think the Cardinals, you could try to talk yourself into, Trevor Bryant's great, but
maybe
Marvin Harrison.
Man,
honestly, Michael Wilson, has played better.
Both of them. You get both of them. The running back position, though, everyone's hurt. So.
Yeah. I think this could easily be a Kellen Moore situation. Like, he wins with the Eagles, goes to the Saints, does a good job. The team doesn't actually win a lot of games, but you see that they're building something. Yeah. But we have to talk about something. Shout out Joe Tooman. He listened to our Most Tortured Fan Bases video. Go check that out. And he said, the Cardinals weren't even mentioned. And then I looked at him. The Cardinals have nothing. They really don't.
Duh.
They did deserve at least an honorable mention, or dishonorable mention, rather, in Most Tortured Fan Base. 2 championships, both before the Super Bowl era, and one of them is heavily, what's the word? Like, people actually debate whether or not they actually were the champion that year. So really no Super Bowls, though.
Yeah.
And their only real team that I remember was the team that lost to that Steelers in that great Super Bowl game.
Yeah.
So
the team that went to the NFC Championship game and lost to Cam Newton.
Oh,
they
true.
beat Rodgers in the double Hail Mary year.
True. So maybe we just thought of that, but they've achieved nothing. So I think that kind of has to be baked into this.
When I think of the Cardinals, I think of good moments. That's my problem.
I do too.
I think of the double Hail Mary game, them winning on that big play by Larry Fitzgerald, then scoring at the goal line. I think of the D-Hop Hail Mary. Every time I think of the Cardinals, plus the Vikings play, the Vikings have that tough loss to miss the playoffs and one of the biggest collapses in NFL history to miss the playoffs. That was a Cardinals touchdown. Every time I think of the Cardinals, it's good things happen. I don't think of course, San Antonio Holmes catch, but a lot of them are good memories that don't end in a Super Bowl. But
I think it's largely when we grew up. What was that team state at that age?
Yeah.
The Bills when I was growing up were terrible, and now they have this heartbreak. We talked with them. The Vikings have a lot of heartbreak. The Cardinals were kind of successful in a very small window.
Carson Palmer and Larry Fitzgerald.
Yeah, the very beginning of me learning football was Larry Fitzgerald is cool, and he's on the Cardinals. And
Kurt Warner.
So I think that's why I don't think of them as tortured. Even if you look at their resume, they at least have to be mentioned as an dishonorable mention.
Yeah, no, they've had some heartbreaks.
Shout out Joe Tubman for listening to the podcast.
Yeah, but no, you get Larry Fitzgerald. Enjoy it, buddy. I like Larry Fitzgerald.
Yeah, but you could argue they're like the Browns in that they never win. So if they go to the Cardinals, it's gonna be hard to achieve elsewhere.
Yeah, but remember, St. Louis Cardinal fans, we could have a talk. St. Louis Cardinals lost their team. And then they became Rams fans, and then they lost their team again.
Do you mean the St. Louis Rams?
You realize the Arizona Cardinals used to play in St. Louis? There used to be a St. Louis Cardinals football team and a St. Louis.
Oh, you're saying
Cardinals
before?
Yeah, and then they moved to Arizona,
I was
and then the Rams moved to St. Louis, and then the Rams left them again. So St. Louis football fans really are going through it. They didn't get the Super Bowl though with Kurt Warner and the Greatest Show on Turf. But
My issue is with football, the history is a lot weirder than like baseball, to where like baseball is just like engraved in a rock, and it's been pretty simple of like World Series winners for the last like 130 years. Whereas, football, a lot of weird movement going on. Other football leagues keep trying to form. It's a lot clunkier, a lot of
Yeah.
relocation and stuff.
Yeah, definitely tough. All right, Chris, let's get to our pain and panics here. Also, wanted to shout this out quick. When we were talking about Arizona and Las Vegas, I do think Kyler Murray could end up in Las Vegas. Not as a Raider, as an Athletic, if he decides to
Oh,
go play baseball. I think the A's still have his rights. So
but he wouldn't end up. Oh, when the eighth Athletics eventually moved to Vegas.
yeah, because
Yeah.
I think the A's have his rights. So he can go play in Sacramento for a year or two. and then
Honestly,
end
he
up in
should.
Las
What is he
Vegas.
doing in the NFL right now? Honestly,
Yeah, could go
right.
get a bag, go play for the Dodgers. All
Adam, for a pain, I'm gonna take us out of football. Okay.
right.
This is a topic I feel very passionate about. MLB The Show is just on the decline. In 2026, picking Aaron Judge as the cover athlete was just a terrible decision. If you were to think of all of the options, and you have to look at the history of MLB The Show cover athletes, Aaron Judge was already a cover athlete. When he was rising on the scene, having his second big year, like Judge was the cover, perfect timing. They went all in on the all rise stuff, all Yankees themed. I hate the Yankees, obviously, but like I thought it was a cool cover. Then they picked some other people, and then they picked like Shohei when he was on the Angels, because you kind of had to pick Shohei, but then, he's probably bigger now. And then last year, they did a terrible thing. They picked Ellie De La Cruz, Paul Skeens, and Gunnar Henderson in the same year. Like, they put all three of them on one.
Yeah, one with the babies.
Yeah, I'm like, just pick one, and it would be better, because like Ellie De La Cruz, can't even like hit like, above 280, whatever. This year they pick Aaron Judge again. I don't like the idea of picking an athlete twice for the cover of a video game unless it is like a reason something so monumental they had to pick him. Like if this was after the Judge had all the home runs that one season, fine. That's fine. But he's won MVPs before and you didn't pick him again. I think of all the years to make him the cover athlete, this is the one where you're probably like forgetting Aaron Judge, because last year he went to the World Series. You saw him the whole postseason. He was fresh on your mind. This year, they, have a, postseason you barely remember. The Blue Jays.
Some of us remember it very well how their season ended. So
True, but not for any good Aaron Judge moments.
No. Well, you did hit that home run in Game 3.
Listen, they already picked Vladimir Guerrero Jr., but it should have been him. But you know what? They don't want to pick someone twice. I get that. Why are you picking Aaron Judge again? There's plenty of other guys. You could have even picked Shohei again, and that would have made more sense because he just won again.
Here's why they picked Aaron Judge.
Because it's the Yankees.
They were going to pick an American for the World Baseball Classic. That's why, because they're going off Captain America. I would have picked Tarek Skubal. That's who I would have picked. If I was going to have to pick someone on Team USA, I would have picked Skubal, because we haven't used Skubal yet. Plus, elite pitcher. We'll go off the pitchers thing. I get they were gonna go with an American to have the Team USA World Baseball Classic team, and they just chose because they're calling Aaron Judge Captain America. So I think that's why. I understand.
Why is Aaron Judge Captain America?
Because he's the captain of the team. I don't know. He was the
but
first
like,
player
did he do much in last Team USA's performance that they lost in?
I don't know. I know Mike Trout struck out Shohei Ohtani to lose the championship.
Do you know who the real Captain America is?
You can talk.
No, I'm asking. Do you remember
Trey
who
Turner went nuts in that World Baseball Classic.
No, it was David Wright was the first one to be called Captain America. He was incredible in the World Baseball Classic, and he was in New York as the captain. Went to the World Baseball Classic, was amazing. He was Captain America. Last World Baseball Classic, Trey Turner played the best.
Off. Yeah, he went off.
Aaron Judge was there on the team. I get he's probably the best American player.
That's true. He is the best.
But also, they're trying to make the game more global, and then they doubled.
Could have went with Cal Raleigh too.
I thought Cal Riley. I guess because they have to pick. I don't think it's stupid to have to pick an American. It's not the Olympics every 4 years.
Well,
you know what I mean?
I think they're gonna pick a Team USA guy because the game does sell in the United States, and then I think they're gonna have special covers in other countries. Is my guess. Like they always did that. Like Dirk was always on the cover in Germany for NBA.
2K is different, but I don't like the idea of picking Judge again. I don't, honestly. I know they need to pick a Team USA player, but like you can't even play in the World Baseball Classic and only be the show.
Maybe they're gonna add that this year. Maybe that's a new
No,
addition.
it's gonna be the same game. And I've talked about this with my cousins. We've had the same problems. Road to the Show was one of the first like really well done like playing as a player in the team.
Yeah.
However, it has not changed since the beginning. There's like in NBA, you have like a whole life. You do endorsements, you make your own shoe, you have your own gigantic apartment, and there's too many storylines, honestly. And you go to the central hub, there's 85,000 things to buy, to personalize it, and it's like a whole other community. Road to the Show's me in my basement playing all day, and it's just game, 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 game,
Yep.
game, 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 and there's 160 games. Like I can't do it. So MLB The Show, I think, is on the decline a bit. I think picking Aaron Judge was stupid. Honestly, could have picked like Mookie Betts. Even hasn't been on the cover. Like Freddie Freeman, if you want to pick a Dodger, but they just picked Shohei like not too long ago.
Freddie's Canadian, so
I forgot Canadian. But I don't know. I just thought it was stupid. I think it's dumb. I think also baseball is largely like not that American of a sport. I know it's America's pastime, but a lot of the players are not even from the United States.
That's true.
So like of all sports to like do this, like in basketball, Team USA always wins the Olympics. And if it was an Olympic year, I get it. If you wanted to put like LeBron or Steph or KD on KD is like, one of the most accomplished like Olympians. So I just think it was stupid for someone who has limited Team USA experience that's, falsely being called Captain America to be on the cover again on a year where it's one of the least remarkable years of his career because he's had all these incredible seasons. And then last year was good. And it's like, let's
his highest batting average ever last year.
Highest batting average, but the year that he had the most home runs, I think he had the most like star potential. Like that season was Judge's season.
Yeah, still played really well last year. Just Cal Raleigh.
No, he did. But there were other storylines. But the year before he went to the World Series, and before that he had all the home runs, and I'm like, that would have been a better choice.
You want the honest opinion? They were gonna pick Tarek Skubal, but he's not gonna be on the Tigers, and they didn't want to have to deal with the cover change.
You can't do that. You know what they should have done? They shouldn't have wasted Skeens and Gunnar Henderson. They should have picked Paul Skeens this year, and he's on Team USA.
Yeah, that would have worked.
Also, Bobby Witt. I would have loved Bobby Witt.
Well, Bobby Witt's my favorite player in baseball. So
why was Bobby Witt not picked?
I don't know. I think, look, the reason they picked Aaron Judge, if we're being honest, is because Aaron Judge sells games. Like, people are going to see Aaron Judge and be like, yep, because there's more Yankees fans than any other fans in the world. So like, oh my gosh, Aaron Judge.
Could have picked a Dodger that hasn't been picked yet, honestly. Because when Shohei was picked, the last Dodger pick was Puig in like 2015 or 14.
Yeah, they could have.
It was stupid. I think it should have been Soto last year because new team, that's a big guy. But this year, if they want to do Team USA, they can't pick him or Lindor. But I think they should have done Soto because if you think of biggest names in MLB, he's probably the biggest position player that hasn't been picked yet.
Yeah, but like I said, they're gonna go with who sells, and I'm sure Shohei will be the cover next year. So that's
they better add a World Baseball Classic game mode, but I spent way too long on that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, all right. My pain, Bucks fans. They're losing their guy officially now. Sounds like it's over. We kind of knew it was over, but Giannis is now open to leaving, so it's over. You feel bad for Bucks fans. Just 5 years ago, they were on cloud nine, Christopher. They just won the championship. Giannis had won 2 MVPs. They were rolling. Everything was great. They thought, oh, we will have this forever. And now, 5 years later, they haven't even been back to the conference finals. And it's been a sad, sad road since that championship for the Bucks. And now they're going to lose their guy. I hope they keep him for the rest of the year, not for Bucks fans, but they're going to get a better haul if they wait till the off season to get the trade done. If they do it in the season, there's going to be some restrictions, things like that. Kind of like with the Luka trade, you do it during the season, you can't get as much as you'd want maybe in an off season trade. So hopefully they wait, but yeah, Bucks fans, just feel bad for them. Feel bad.
I honestly barely care at this point because there has been about 35,000 reports a day that Giannis is open to a trade but won't ask for the trade, and then he wants the trade but then won't publicly say it, and then he doesn't want to leave, and then he injures his calf, and then all goes away, and then the moment he comes back, it's that he's unhappy and he wants change, and it's been like this for a while, and I think most of the media's like, Giannis, you have to talk about if he's going to get traded, but we've just talked so much about it already that like, all right, now he's open to it. I'm like, I think he's been open to it the whole time, honestly.
Yeah. Should have kept Coach Bud.
But he just injured his calf again. I don't know if it's the same calf or the other calf, but a second calf strain this season is concerning as well.
Yeah. Now, what I don't know is if the calf strain might be a little bit fabricated to be like, we want to work this trade out. We can't have you playing while we're doing it and get a serious injury. So,
but he already had a calf strain, so I feel like having 2 calf strains is not the way to do it.
Calf strains are kind of like the back pain, where it's like it doesn't show up a lot in like the X-rays and that. So like the trainer can't tell you you're cleared or not. It's all on pain tolerance. So it's kind of like, well, back hurts today, can't play. The trainers can't do anything about it. They're like, okay, you can't play. So we'll see how it works. But yeah, just feel bad for Bucs fans. They lost Kareem, and now they're going to lose their other goat to another team. Hopefully this one doesn't end like Kareem did, which is he's more iconic at the new place than your place. But
yeah, I mean, I think real basketball fans know Kareem was better on the Bucs, but
he was good. He was a baller.
He was great, but he won a chip like by himself, really, on the Bucs.
Well, Oscar Robertson was
I know. But when you think if you ask like Kareem, when were you at your best? I think he'd say the Bucs.
Yeah, the beginning of the Bucs. Well, he might say UCLA. He was really good at UCLA.
By the way, the Chargers hire Western Michigan defensive coordinator Chris O'Leary as their defensive coordinator.
Very nice. Very nice. Stay. It worked out. They hired the Michigan defense coordinator last time, and it worked out. So they'll go to Western Michigan and figure it out.
Yeah.
All right, Chris. Panic button. Go ahead.
I'm slamming that panic button, Adam.
Oh, boy.
It's slammed. Like, the alarms are blaring. Everything's going off. The NBA, honestly, we've barely talked about on this podcast, mostly because I think maybe a lot of people, as they get older, basketball fans, realize you kind of just need to watch the playoffs, and most games, you just need to watch the fourth quarter.
Yep.
My mom once told me that, and I was so upset when she told me that, because I was like, you're wrong.
But then Adam Silver told you that.
Then Adam Silver told me it's a highlight sport, and you know what? He's right. Whenever anything cool happens in the NBA, I get a notification, I watch it. I don't need to sit down and watch it, and you miss a lot of things. And I do like watching basketball, but a lot of basketball nowadays feels like it's analytics driven. It's threes and easy twos, and we're seeing a lot of teams playing the same style of basketball. So this is probably one of my least interested NBA seasons that I've had in a while. One of the few teams, though, that had their own style of play, which is what makes basketball fun, is usually stars that can't do things but do some things really well. Like, LeBron used to not be able to shoot, but he could drive and kick better than anyone. He could assist and do whatever. Some teams are great, defensive teams. Some had great shooting, but no defense. But now they all kind of just seem like everyone could kind of shoot and also kind of dribble on their own and play solid defense, and it all feels very similar. But the one team that did not do that were the Houston Rockets. Steven Adams going down with an injury has ruined the most fun team in the NBA to watch for me, and that is the Houston Rockets. He added this double big lineup. They were tough, physical, and they could rebound better than anyone. They were fun to watch because they played differently. Most of this NBA now is some cookie-cutter formula of just trying to say whatever the analytics said. The Rockets felt distinct. They felt like they played their own brand of basketball. And now the biggest, reason why of having these two big guys that are massive, Steven Adams is the best offensive rebounder in the league. They lose him, and they might just start looking more and more like every other team that we see. And the Rockets already lost Fred VanVleet before the season started. Now they lose Steven Adams, and this was one of the teams that could beat the Thunder. They just lost one of the few things that made them unique, and the way to beat the Thunder was with size, and they just lost. Not that Steven Adams is, prime wilt, but he was a great rebounder that added that element for them.
Yeah. They currently trail by 5 to the Spurs, who I love watching the Spurs play. Spurs are fun to watch. I
think Wemby is the reason why, whereas with the Rockets, it's more about the team for me.
I like watching. I think De'Aaron Fox is a fun player to watch. Pushes the ball up the floor.
Stephon
Castle's really fun.
Yeah.
I like Dylan Harper. I loved him since he was in college.
The Spurs are probably actually the most watchable team.
Yeah.
The Rockets, though, were the team that when I watch it, I'm like,
Thunder should
trying to be different, and I respect that.
The Thunder should be, but SGA is too worried about getting to the foul line.
The foul line stuff people complain about. I also just feel like the Thunder aren't that interesting as of a team. Like, Shea isn't like a highlight player, really. He's more of mid-range jump shots.
I'll tell you.
And that's fine, but it's just not, the same.
I loved watching the Pacers. Now Tyrese is hurt and it's kind of boring.
Yeah.
And they're not very good. But like when Tyrese was playing last year in the playoffs, how fast they played, how open it was,
Yeah.
like that was really fun to watch. Now they're kind of taking a step back because Tyrese hasn't been playing. So no, I agree with you. It's definitely been tough. It's kind of hard to stay locked in. Football takes up all the attention.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see. And then the other problem is the NBA has this game that they could get people back into it with the All-Star game immediately after the Super Bowl, and they've been unable to make that mean anything. So
Yeah.
that'll take me to my panic button a little bit. I'm panicking about the NFL selection process in multiple different aspects today, Chris. So let's start with the Hall of Fame. Pro Football Hall of Fame used to mean a lot. It would be prestigious.
Yeah.
It's hard to get in. There's been a lot of guys who've been left out. There's been a lot of guys who had to wait a little longer than they should have. Terrell Owens, most notably, top 3 in every receiving category, had to wait a little longer. He wasn't real happy about it. Didn't even go to his own Hall of Fame induction. Did his own special thing at his old HBCU. But one guy who should not have had to wait is Bill Belichick. Guy's won 6 Super Bowls. You want to count his coordinator Super Bowls. That's a couple more there. He's one of the best coaches of all time, second most wins in NFL history. And, he's a guy that should be automatic first ballot Hall of Famer. Well, the Hall of Fame class is going to be announced, and Bill Belichick is not going to be announced as a first ballot Hall of Famer this year. He is not on the ballot, and he's not on the list of being honored into the Hall of Fame. Which, if Bill Belichick isn't in your Hall of Fame for pro football as a first ballot Hall of Famer, why the heck should you want to be in the Hall of Fame in the NFL? Because that just makes no sense. Chris, care to respond on Bill Belichick not being a Hall of Famer?
It is ridiculous that he's not in the Hall of Fame, and there's probably a few different reasons. One is that the whole conversation about Belichick the last year or two has kind of turned into more personal stuff that's kind of, changed the way we view him.
He's in that Hall of Fame for sure. Any 73-year-old man dating a 20-something-year-old woman, that's Hall of Fame in my book. It's the quote from Remember the Titans.
Adam, I'm getting ready to go this list, and no response to that. But so the personal stuff I think played a factor, and I think honestly what did it, coaches and players don't like him if they were not on his team. He did low-key kind of cheat.
Well, he did. Spygate did.
Yeah, Spygate happened. Deflategate also happened. That I don't think people really blame him for that, but still, when you're Belichick and you already have Spygate, Deflategate is more likely to go against you because...
He definitely didn't discourage doing that.
Yeah, I think if your coach does Spygate, you're not going to be discouraged from doing a Deflategate. And he's just always not been the warmest guy that people like. They might respect him. No one likes him. I think coaches looked at him and they're like, he's cheated. He is, not the nicest guy. And his life after coaching the Patriots has all gone downhill. Not that should play a factor, but maybe it has changed the way we view him. I think he's obviously going to get next year. But I think they wanted to make him wait to be like,
yep,
you did stuff wrong, you cheated, you don't act the way that we like you to act, and we're going to punish you by making you wait.
Yeah, and the Pro Football Hall of Fame is a little different, they said. So, they actually meet in a room. There's 50 people that vote on this, and they actually meet and discuss it. This isn't just sending your ballot, and then we just count them up, and these guys get in. They actually meet and deliberate this. Someone said Bill Polian, who was an old general manager for the Bills, was very adamant that Belichick should have to wait a year just for, a punishment for all this stuff, which I'm okay. Then Bill Polian came out and said, I don't know if I did or didn't vote for him. I'm what do you mean? So I guess he's denying that he did that. So I don't know. It's stupid.
That's what one of the reports from ESPN said, was that he was trying to say they should punish him and make him wait.
Yeah. Which I understand as a rival GM to be upset about that, but someone needs to come in and say, with logic, this guy needs to be in the Hall of Fame. Whether you like him or not, with logic, put him in. This isn't steroids and he was cheating.
I was about to say, Barry Bonds with steroids, that's a reason to, at the very least, make someone wait. Because you should be punished for things that you do that are wrong. Imagine if Tom Brady didn't get in because of Deflategate in his first ballot.
The thing's going up in smoke.
I know, it does reduce the validity when you expose yourself for being petty, emotional voters, I think that's a little ridiculous, honestly.
Yeah, I wish, it would have been nice if Belichick would have came out and said, I want to go in with Brady. So I don't want to be on the ballot until 2028. That would have been okay. But no, now he's just not going to get in. It's going to be weird. Then he's going to get in 2027. It's going to be oh, yep, there's your punishment. All right, and then the other part of the NFL selection process that made me mad, Chris, is the Pro Bowl. Shedeur Sanders, good friend of the show, by the way. We like Shedeur over here. And I don't have anything ill about this because I'm not going to blame Shedeur Sanders for this, but he was selected to the Pro Bowl. Shedeur Sanders has more interceptions than touchdowns. Has among, I believe, QBR of the 629 quarterbacks over the last however many years that they've tracked with QBR. He ranks 623rd. Shedeur Sanders did not have a bad rookie year. He didn't have a good rookie year. But I think for, the standards that most people would have put on him, he didn't play bad. But in no way, shape, or form is that dude a Pro Bowl quarterback, but he now gets to say that he was a Pro Bowl quarterback, which just makes me think, why the hell are we even having a Pro Bowl anymore?
Yeah. This was the Tyler Huntley situation where Huntley was a backup and he makes the Pro Bowl and then he's out here doing the skills competition. I remember growing up, I thought the Pro Bowl was cool. You get all the best players. They do, they could throw it to each other and you get Drew Brees throwing it to Victor Cruz and it was all fun and games. Now I'm watching flag football between backup quarterbacks and rookie quarterbacks who played a few games that somehow make the Pro Bowl. I think the players don't care about it and they just wanted to put, fun guys in the thing. It just doesn't make sense. They're reducing the value of being named a Pro Bowler.
I'm assuming Trevor Lawrence said no. Because Trevor Lawrence should have been your first. I mean, he's an MVP finalist, so he should have at least been called about this. I'm assuming he said no, which I'm sure there were a lot of people that were called that said no before Shedeur got to say yes. I'm guessing.
I just feel like you should name your Pro Bowlers, and if they don't show up, they don't show up. And I think they should just cancel the Pro Bowl event. I think this is the worst of all of the sports games. This is the one that I don't even watch or even watch clips of because it's ridiculous. I think they've kind of doubled down on making it less of an actual event and they just make it a fun weekend of games, mini games.
I love the dodgeball game. I do love the dodgeball game.
It's a reason that the players, get to go to Orlando, bring their families to Florida, to Disney World at the end. I worked through Adam. Jalen Johnson came to the touch point that I was working next to, and then I was like, huh, that's clearly a football player. It was cool. I think they use this as a reason to go on a trip somewhere cool or somewhere warm with their families. That's what this is. This is not an actual event to see the best players compete against each other. That's what it should be. It's not what's become. Part of it is just football. You can't fake being hit hard. You can't reduce that injury. And if they can't do that, then they shouldn't play a game. I think flag football is fine, but I just don't know why they're doing anything. What's the point of the flag football?
Yeah, I don't get it. Yeah, I think Sean Taylor ruined it. Everyone pulls up the Sean Taylor hit from the Pro Bowl and being like, I don't want to get hit like that in a Pro Bowl. Now everyone's like, we're not going to hit. So it's sad. Mac Jones was a Pro Bowler once. It's just, and I swear if we bring up Pro Bowl selections and Hall of Fame arguments, in the future, up till now, you can make the argument, the guys being up now, the Pro Bowl used to mean something and being selected. But if we're 25 years, 30 years down the road and we're talking Shedeur as a Hall of Fame, we bring up Pro Bowls, I'm going to lose my mind. I'm going to be like, are you serious right now? Can we look at the stats the year he made the Pro Bowl? Anyway.
Do you want to get into the other sports and their stupid things?
Yeah. Okay. Let's do it.
This is why the NFL is the worst of all the Pro Bowl All-Star Game events, is because being named a Pro Bowler means nothing. And Shedeur Sanders shows that, where the selection process is stupid, like you said.
Yep.
At least being named an NBA All-Star is still an achievement that you look back on and they bring up. The game is dumb. They're changing the format every year and it's stupid and no one cares anymore. But it matters to be named an All-Star. Hockey, they do a lot of really cool, fun things.
Oh, yeah.
In the MLB, the game doesn't mean much, but the players
play.
They do show up and they play because it's not as much of a risk as it is to hit someone tackling.
Yeah, you have to you can't just go in there and not swing the bat.
It's easier to play a baseball game without the risk of getting a concussion by some defensive lineman.
Plus, the pitchers are only throwing one inning anyway, so they'll just go all out for an inning. So
Every other sport should be able to figure this out. I think football in its nature just should not be a Pro Bowl event or an All-Star type of deal.
It's impossible because if they don't try, it's obvious.
I think the mini games are fun. I think they could do the mini games. I think they should just get rid of the flag football. The thing where they do they drop the football with the drone in the sky and they have to catch as many footballs as they can is whatever. Like you said, really dodgeball is the only highlight.
Yeah. The one thing they could add, which would be fun, would be in 2028, flag football is an Olympic sport. In 2028, if they did the Olympic team versus like an NFL team, like that could be a fun game. Where it's like, well, the NFL guys are probably going to have to at least try to play. Like, it's just a flag football game, guys. Just go play. Guys might want to play in it because it's an Olympic game, so it's exposure. People will watch. And then if you're like, oh, I want to be on the Olympic team sometime, this is a way for them to see me. So I think that's one way to do it, but that's only 1 year because we're not going to have the Olympic flag football team every year. It's going to be every 4 years. Even that's if they keep Olympic flag football in after America hosts the Olympics in 2028. There's no guarantee it's in the Olympics in 2032. So
yeah, I don't know the way to. I think every sport you could kind of fix. I don't think they could actually fix the Pro Bowl in terms of the nature of the sport.
Yeah.
If we were ranking all these, I would say football is probably dead last.
Yes. Football's last. Third, if we're only ranking the four, third would be basketball.
I think the title of All-Star means a lot, like we said. Probably, honestly, to me, means the most in terms of looking at a player's legacy. Because MLB, Lindor is a one-time All-Star on the Mets, and it was probably his third best season. Sometimes baseball is very restrictive with the voting process.
Every player gets one too, so every team gets one.
Every team gets one. So baseball, I think the selection means less. Basketball means more. But we could talk about basketball and how to fix it. I think basketball, I'd agree, and then baseball.
You guys don't care. Baseball's second, and I put hockey first. One because hockey's mastered it.
How do we fix the NBA? Not even just the game, but the whole weekend. Because this is going to come out, and with the NBA All-Star Weekend's coming up soon.
Get the guys to want to be there. That's all you need to do. The guys got to want to be there. The guys got to want to do the dunk contest. The guys got to want to, do the three-point contest and not worry about getting embarrassed. The guys got to want to play in the game and actually play the game. That's all you got to do. It's basketball. The guys just have to want to play, and they don't want to. They just want to go out, goof around, 48 minutes. Funny. Final score is 220 to 212, and there's no defense played in the entire game. Just get the guys to want to play. And I don't know how you do it, but that's what you have to do.
The NBA probably has the problem the most of the players ruining the product. The way to fix NBA All-Star Weekend is to have the players care. Like you said, that's the issue is the players ruined this weekend. The best players stopped participating. We used to have Dwayne Wade and Kobe Bryant and Chris Paul in the skills challenge, and now it's probably some backup point guard on a team because he was just in the area.
They do teams now. They do guards versus bigs. Something.
The NBA tries to get creative and changing up the format, which only leads to us not caring because we know next year it's going to be different. These trophies mean nothing. The awards mean nothing. We have Anthony Edwards out here shooting 3-pointers with his left hand. It really is a waste of one of the most highlight-driven sports, according to Adam Silver, that can't get highlights because Mac McClung is the biggest name in All-Star Weekend.
And
shout out Mac McClung. I like Mac McClung, but I'm saying
and he's
I don't want to see him.
Yeah, and he's not doing it this year.
I want to see John Morant, Zion Williamson, and Giannis in a dunk contest.
Yeah. I feel bad because, again, I like this guy, but I think this all would have been saved, and I'm not calling him out for this.
You're saying LeBron?
If LeBron would have done a dunk contest once in his career, I think everything would have been fine.
So LeBron not doing the dunk contest was probably the start of a player trying to save their reputation and not, participate.
Especially when he'd post those freaking videos in the practice gym of him doing crazy dunks and just making people
We had one of the most highlight-driven players, one of the most athletically gifted players not participate in that format. To be fair, the contest was kind of dying at that point, but he could have brought it back. And I think him not doing it was a big thing. And there are a lot of players who say they're in-game dunkers. Cool. I think Westbrook could have found a way to do a cool dunk at a dunk contest. Westbrook should have done it as well.
a cool thing to add, but again, the guys wouldn't do it. It's like you can add all this stuff. Like Adam Silver can sit in there with a bunch of people and be like, "Hey, let's do this. Let's do a one-on-one tournament. Like, let's try to get the guys to care." If the guys don't care, it's not going to matter. Like I said, like everyone's like in-game dunkers. I said, okay, let's get rid of the dunk contest we have and let's do a poster contest, defense versus offense. You have a shot blocker, you have a guy going in to dunk on it. It's 1v1.
But no one's going to want to risk getting injured, and they're not going to want to risk getting postered and be on defense.
Exactly. So the guys won't care. That'd be fun. Like it'd be like, oh, Rudy Gobert going up against a dunker, Victor Wembanyama going up against a dunker, like seeing how guys block shots, and like there's one winner, a defensive player wins or an offensive player wins. Like it would be a fun thing to watch. But like I said, guys wouldn't do it, so it doesn't matter. So like that's the big thing in the NBA, and it's impossible to fix. It's up to the guys to fix it. And
I think the selection process should be the fans vote in the players, and if you're picked, you can't say no unless you're hurt.
Yeah, but then they'll just go in and they'll do lazy dunks and not care. And then, like, same thing with the game. Like, they get voted into the game. They're just like, I don't care. So.
True. I think the NBA is probably the one that I feel the least hope for, because the fix is a huge culture change that I don't think they're going to have.
Yep.
On top of that, they used to try a little bit in the dunk contest, but it kind of got boring after a while because it's hard to come up with all these different dunks.
We have spurts. Like Levine and Gordon had a good run. Donovan Mitchell had a good dunk contest.
I will say, too, that Derrick Jones Jr., and he had a really good one with Aaron Gordon the second time. Or actually, it was Aaron Gordon's third that time, actually.
Yeah, like we've had a lot of good dunk.
Hamidou Diallo dunked over Shaq, and even that, honestly, that was fun. Even though it's Hamidou Diallo, who was in the league after like 2 years. But you know what? We have people who try and do cool things.
Nate Robinson had a good run. Jason Richardson, Dwight Howard. Like, there's been guys who've done it that's been fun. It's just like we never got the the upper echelon superstars never wanted to do it.
We had a time where we actually had an athletic version of John Morant and Zion, both healthy, and they didn't do it.
I wonder if Zion wasn't hurt his rookie year, if Zion and Ja would have both done it. Because that's also the year Kobe died. If they would have both done it.
Yeah. On top of, kind of off of that, the All-Star game also sucks.
Yeah.
And there are actually more years where it's good. And when they changed it in the Kobe format where it was like...
The guys cared. The guys cared.
The guys cared. They wanted to do it for Kobe because you know why? Kobe actually tried in the All-Star games like a decent bit, like a normal amount. And he would, he wasn't trying to injure himself for other people, but he was actually playing the game. I saw one video was Kevin Garnett blaming LeBron again because Kevin Garnett always just speaks bad about LeBron.
Yeah, when Kobe slapped the floor and LeBron passed the ball.
Yeah, and I'm like, I actually don't even have that big a problem with that as much as like, it's just a matter of taking the game seriously. And LeBron takes it seriously some years.
Yeah, he took it seriously that year. Yeah, like there's times where like when they started doing the draft, guys started taking it somewhat seriously.
Yeah,
because it's like
LeBron,
the last pick.
When LeBron was the captain, he actually seemed to try, and these games were close. LeBron hit the fadeaway on LaMelo the one year to win. The year that Anthony Davis hit the free throw to win, that was the most incredible one. I think that was the first Kobe year they did that.
2020,
yeah, but the one with like the next year, LaMelo was a good one. And then I think the first year they did it, the draft was also good. Like, it is cool to see the players' relationships on the court, the way they would draft people. I liked the draft, honestly. Then if you're not going to do the draft, fine, go back to East versus West. Now this year there's 3 teams, 2 USA, 1 Europe. I don't know how that impacts like how the selection process goes. I think it's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think the European team's going to wax both American teams too. So that's.
I hope so, but you know what? 2K did. You know what 2K put on the cover? Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. They didn't worry about the All-Star game format this year.
It wasn't an Olympic year. So you don't have to worry about it because people only care about.
Who did they pick the year? It was the Olympics. Was it Tatum?
2024.
It was it was Tatum. Just won the championship.
Probably, yeah.
And then they picked Tatum to be on the cover.
And they picked that before the Olympics, so it's kind of hard for them to, because like they pick it in July. The Olympics are in August.
They knew though that Tatum would be in the Olympics.
Yeah, but they didn't know he wasn't going to play. That's what.
Well, you see, Tyrese Halliburton was on the LeBron pod, and he was saying how on the Olympics he was told he found out he was going to play, and then he said he gained 30 pounds since his torn Achilles. Adam.
Yeah, well, he can't run.
I'm sorry, go on a diet, man. 30 pounds is a lot to gain, especially for a point guard. You're going to
Yeah,
come
but
back from an injury 30
Chris,
pounds heavier. That's so much.
Chris, he is going to lose those pounds in about 2 weeks post-injury recovery. Once they allow him to run, he's going to lose that stuff quick.
I don't know. It's a lot of weight to gain. Like, just in a general sense, that's a lot of weight to gain.
I mean, Luka probably lost how many pounds this offseason? So
what's different though is Tyrese runs up and down a lot, and the fact that he gains so much so quickly that could usually lead to more injuries. So
I think
I don't like that. You know, not a. Do you think
I
Kobe
think
gained
he'll be
30 pounds when he tore his Achilles?
probably he just didn't tell you about it. He
No.
couldn't walk. He couldn't walk.
Mm.
You're in a boot. You can't do anything.
Well-
Once they let Tyrese get in the pool, they'll be fine.
Well, back to the All-Star game. NBA's third. I don't really know how you fix it besides making the players care. And like LeBron even playing it last year because he
just opted out at the end. Yeah, 'cause
he
he
opted
said he
out.
was
That was
hurt.
ridiculous. I'm like, LeBron,
And
you've
it cost
actually
Norman Powell a spot.
yeah, like he was one of the few that would care, and if he cares, I think other people care. He did not. And Steph, the year there was Steph and LeBron, Steph was eating popcorn on the sideline.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, like this is the problem, is we're trying to make it goofy. This isn't the celebrity all-star game.
Nope.
So, and I think they can just scrap the skills challenge at this point. I like it sometimes, but I think it's just stupid now. Like, who's watching?
I like in the in-arena aspect, it's nice because they do put a team together from the team that's local. So, like,
Yeah.
you get that at least someone for the fans to root for.
Well,
but,
they want to net. You can't just start with 3-point contests or dunk contests. You need something to warm everyone up, but
yeah.
make it shorter.
Rising
I would
Stars
like to
games
have
is actually
competition.
fun,
Do
though.
it have
Rising Stars
competition?
games. The Rising Stars games is fun.
I
Those
forgot
guys
about
care.
that.
Those guys care. Like on Friday, they do get you started. They care. After
The
the
only
celebrity
one I
game,
remember was Luca and Trey were basically doing a half-court contest.
yeah. No, like last year was a lot of fun. They had the G League guys in it too. So like the G League guys were going at it. The Rising Stars were going at it. Like those guys actually play. And I said, like they said when they had these 3 teams, I said, make the 4th team the winner of the Rising Stars game. Hypothetically, they're gonna get killed. But they will actually play basketball and do like a little tournament. Like, and those guys will play. So like, and they'll maybe drag the other guys to play because they might not want to get embarrassed by Yannick Conan Niederhauser coming on an alley-oop. Like, you might not want to get embarrassed by it. So,
Well, I agree. I think we should also have a ban. If you do something stupid in the All-Star events where you don't try, like Anthony Edwards with one hand, you get suspended for 1 year from all All-Star game
I will
events.
tell you, the guys might intentionally do it then. Because I'll tell you, the guys might enjoy plus we don't have to worry about All-Star weekend. Get to go to freaking Cancun for a week. Chill, relax.
True. Then let's just cancel All-Star weekend.
They would, but the NBA makes too much money off of it. That's the problem.
I don't know how.
Well, they advertisement money, ticket sales. People still go.
How? I don't know how they go. It's so stupid. But all right, whatever. Let's move on. This is making me mad. Second, we said is baseball. I think this one's pretty simple. The All-Star game is kind of have a similar problem to like the All-Star Saturday night where they usually just change the format all the time because people keep losing interest after a few years of the same format. And then after like 5 years, people are like, let's go back to the old one. That one was so much better. And then we do. And then after a few years, we want to change it again. I also think there is no entertaining way to do the home run derby camera-wise. It is just a mess.
Well, yeah, there's no way. I like the home run derby, but yeah, it's got to be what it's got to be. Like, I mean,
yeah. The year where I like it when they did only like when you hit the ball, you have to wait for the ball to land.
Yeah.
There are a lot of problems with that, but it did make it so you could actually track where the ball is going. I believe it was last year or the year before. It was just nonstop, like balls being hit because they got rid of that rule. And I'm like, I don't even know where the balls are going.
I think they should just go 10 balls. You get 10.
Yeah. I think that's what they used to do. That's what they used to do.
I like 10 balls. Like, I like it like that.
Yeah,
like,
but now they want more home runs. So they could say this home run derby the most home runs. And like, but now there's too much.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's a tough one to do. But I like the home run derby. I think it's fun. The actual game, the only thing I'd change, there's not much change. The guys play. But I said I would love if they would do backyard baseball.
How so?
Captains walk out. They line them up on the line.
Oh.
Point.
Well, that's what the NBA did, and I think it was fun. Here's what's kind of different, though. In the NBA, you feel like you know people's personalities more. There's more, like, social circles in the NBA. Baseball, I think there's not. And honestly, just the players aren't as interesting, and the teams are larger, so I actually don't even care that much. I think baseball is very traditional and like they want NL versus AL, and I think that is
Yeah,
important. I
yeah.
do like that. In the NBA, I don't think it matters as much because
No.
the players change teams, every year anyway. So what's the point?
Yeah,
So
you barely recognize the conferences half the time anyway till the end of the year when you realize, oh, they're in the West. They got to play in
yeah,
the Western playoffs.
I like baseballs as is. It feels traditional to me.
Yeah, I wouldn't change much. That's just
I
something I like, personal preference. Be like
I
backyard
honestly
baseball.
wish we could make the game 7 innings, but they want to get all the pitchers in there, so whatever.
Yeah, they
Like
got
more
it. Every
players in
pitcher
there,
pitches
but
one inning.
it
Makes
is like a
easy.
long game to just be like, all right, like I'm kind of bored.
It actually doesn't go that long because normally pitchers are throwing 1, 2, 3 innings. Scores like 2 to 1.
True,
At the
but
end.
it's annoying when like a pitcher goes like three guys and then there's still like two outs because there's a guy in first. They have to change the pitcher to get someone else in, and it's like, oh my god, like let's
Yeah.
just speed it up a
Yeah,
little bit.
the home run tiebreaker was awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wouldn't change much there. Hockey, I just go to the Four Nations game every year. I loved it. It was all U.S., Canada, Sweden, and Finland, I think, was their fourth country in that. It was awesome. It was awesome.
Yeah. I think it's cool when you put like, national pride at play because then they actually try.
Yeah. This year they don't have one. But they might have an All-Star weekend, but it's the Olympics. So they go on Olympic break here soon.
Yeah. Well, normally though, it's like you get, to see these players and it makes them care, which is the biggest thing is you see players to care. Also, what's cool about hockey, like, I don't know what their current format is, but I know a few years ago they had like the whole skills challenge and like, I don't know what it is about hockey. When they do something and they show off their skill, I'm more interested than in basketball with their skills challenge.
On ice. Everything on ice
speed
looks
skating
better.
is cool, like the target stuff, like all that stuff. I'm like, oh, it is cool to see them do it. I think in the NBA, it's kind of like they kind of just master dribbling between a cone.
Yeah, they're basic stuff. They're basic stuff. When you go in hockey, though, it's like,
they do a layup and then they shoot a three.
Yeah.
Like, all right, but you know what's actually cool? Them skating as fast as they can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Seeing who's the fastest.
Yep, that's awesome. Yeah, so hockey's really good. They don't have to change much there. What was I going to say? Oh, also underrated All-Star game. We know we're only with the Big Four. The WNBA All-Star game, when it's Team USA versus the All-Star team, is awesome because you get women that like don't get selected to the Olympic team. So
like Caitlin Clark on that, right? That
happened with Caitlin Clark's rookie year. That happened because it was an Olympic year. So every Olympic year they have the All-Stars who don't get selected versus Team USA, and that is a game. Like you want a game. I know a lot of people like to complain about women's basketball. I like good women's basketball, and especially like when they play like that. Arike Ogunbowale was awesome in that game because she didn't get selected and scored like 30-some. You actually get girls who felt slighted versus the Olympic team who's actually trying because it's their biggest tune-up game before the Olympics. So that's fun too. But that's only in Olympic years. Every other year it's kind of like, okay, it's an all-star game. But when it's an Olympic year, it's awesome.
Yes, I don't watch a lot of the WNBA, to be honest. But I will say, I do remember a moment from the WNBA All-Star game, which was when Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, they like passed it to each other and they scored.
Against Team USA, yep.
That is more moments I can remember of the WNBA All-Star game than the NBA All-Star game in the last few years.
Yep.
So.
And I think a lot of teams should kind of copy off of that and do like, could you imagine like if they would select Team USA in like January for the Olympics and then have Team USA play the NBA All-Stars that aren't on Team USA? That'd be a interesting game to watch because you might get a guy like that didn't get selected to Team USA being like, I thought I deserved to be on Team USA. I wanted to. But now, guys, so many people opt out of Team USA, though. That's the problem.
I think they should do like an all-star team of college and then have them play against the all-star team of the NBA.
They would get frickin' annihilated, Chris.
But it would make the NBA players try.
But Chris, they wouldn't even have to try and probably win by 25.
You don't think so?
There's a big gap between college players and NBA players.
There was a segment on ESPN back in the day of would that Duke team with Zion, RJ Barrett, Cam Reddish, like would they have beaten the worst NBA team?
They would have competed. I don't think they would have won. They could have been close, but like you get a true
Wanted to see it, Adam.
Yeah, you could get an all-star college team to play the worst team in the NBA, not the all-stars of the NBA. That wouldn't work.
All right, let's do that then.
That would be fun. Let's
get the Jazz versus the all-star of college.
Whoa. Easy. Wizards.
Wizards, fine.
Yeah, let the Jazz around. Lauri Markkanen would have a word. All right,
True.
He
True.
would have a word. No, it'd still be really tough, but yeah, that'd be a fun way to do it. But yeah, all right, Chris, we've went on for a while here. Long talk. See, when we miss an episode, we always end up going long.
I know. We might split this. Might split
You want
this.
to split this?
Let's
Yeah.
split it.
Yeah. Well, we could just upload the whole thing, and then
Sure.
split it after too. So
Yeah.
we'll give everyone the full conversation, and I'd be like, you just want to talk about All-Star games? Here you go. Just want to talk about the coaches? Here you go. So we'll make it work like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is also a good time though to do this, where you're gonna have this random void on Sunday. Where like, what am I gonna do with myself?
Yeah. Pro Bowl's not even on Sunday anymore.
It's on Tuesday.
Yeah. Who puts the Pro Bowl on Tuesday?
I like that the NFL is no longer trying to have it be viewed.
Yeah.
I respect it more so than the NBA.
Hide it.
Also, why isn't NBA All-Star Weekend this weekend?
It's never been this weekend.
I know, but I think it should be.
Because they want to do it after all football. Because they know even if they did the All-Star Weekend this weekend, everyone would still be talking about football. All the conversation would still be about the Super Bowls next week.
I just still feel like after the NFL season, you're in this high of football. There's like a nice gap here, but I don't know. Well, I think they should have done the Pro Bowl on this weekend. That would make more sense. I don't know.
But they wait 2 weeks after the Super Bowl. Like the All-Star Game's February 21st, 22nd this year? 20th, 21st, 22nd? So
I'm not sure. I don't even care about it. That's why I don't even know.
Yeah, so.
Well, the honor show is always cool before the Super Bowl. That's always a cool
it's on
thing.
Thursday night. Yeah, before the Super Bowl.
They should just do that though on the weekend. I hate when football's done because every weekend feels so empty.
Yeah. The reason they do it Thursday of the Super Bowl is because they do it in the city of the Super Bowl and all the guys are there. So they don't have to worry about taking teams away from their prep or getting them placed early.
Well, usually though, they don't accept the award if they're playing in the game though, right?
Probably not. Yeah. They usually don't.
So it doesn't really matter unless you're saying players want to go watch the Super Bowl. But honestly, if I'm a player, I'm not going to the Super Bowl to watch the game.
Well, they do it for the fans who want to travel and make a full week out of the Super Bowl.
True.
So it gives them stuff to do during the week. There's a lot to do out there. It's a lot of fun.
They should do the Pro Bowl then in the same area as the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that would make sense. You'd think, but nope.
I guess you don't want to do a Pro Bowl and it's gonna be hard to be like, hey, you guys want to go to? Sometimes it's in a not great city. Imagine it was in New York.
Yeah, I don't think we'll ever do it in New York again. But domes, they doing some domes up north, like Minnesota.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd rather go to Orlando and just bring my kid to Disney for the week. But no, I remember there was that Super Bowl was Seahawks Broncos was the one in New York and it was freezing.
Yep.
And I was like, yeah, this isn't great.
They said they're never doing one again.
Adam, actually, I have an idea for sure right now. We could just crank out. Ready?
Oh, jeez.
On this topic, what do you think of playing? We saw the Patriots in the Broncos game. We did not get to recap those games really. Are you a fan of snow and crazy snow in these playoff games, or would you rather have neutral site games or only domes in the playoffs?
I love snow. I love bad football. I think the weather's a great aspect of the game. The old players used to play in bad weather, so I think the new guys should play in bad weather. I understand the product looks better. I would never suggest putting the Super Bowl in bad weather, but I think there's a reward for getting home field advantage, and having southern teams have to go up north is a reward for playing the full season.
Yeah. When seeding comes into play, I think it's incredibly fair to have outdoor games. However, in the Super Bowl, that should be a neutral site, and that's why it should always be at least decent weather. However, before that, I'm fine with a game in a blizzard. It is kind of annoying, but it actually is going to be something memorable to watch. We say we love snowy football, then we actually get it, and then we complain when it's not 40 to 35. We have to accept it. It's going to be an ugly 10-7 game. And that's how football is sometimes.
It would have been better if the Broncos had a quarterback. They would have scored some points before the snow started falling in the fourth.
I think you just needed a scrambling quarterback in that game.
Yeah, but even it did start snowing until the fourth quarter. So
that's why Sean Payton should have kicked the field goal at him.
Bo Nix could have got you some points early. And then Drake May probably in response says, well, maybe we got to be more aggressive, coach. Maybe I'll throw for 100 yards today. So I'll go get some more points. And we would have had maybe 20-17 going into the snow rather than 10-7 going into the snow.
Well, I agree. Let's wrap it up and get out of here. I don't do it bad.
Yeah, me too. All right, thank you for listening. We really do appreciate it. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. We'll be back on Monday. We have a special video for Super Bowl week. We're doing Super Bowl prop bets. It'll be a lot of fun on Monday. We'll have the official game preview come out on Friday. Don't worry, we'll make our official predictions. But Super Bowl prop bet's going to be a lot of fun. We'll talk coin toss. We'll talk Gatorade color. We'll talk it all in that. So we'll have a lot of fun there. For my partner, Chris Reynolds, I'm Adam Sheets. We really do appreciate listening, and we will see you on Monday.